Didn't end the way we wanted to, but the Dodgers took the series in New York. A lot to get into there. Can Luis Robert be a realistic option for the Dodgers? And more. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any $5 winning bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. This is a daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. And if you never want to miss a day and become an everydayer, all you have to do is subscribe, which will make it easier because you'll get notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live like we are right now on Sunday night here on YouTube. If this is your first time listening or watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, joined by my co-host, Jeff Snyder. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team in a few different ways over the last decade. We've been doing this here podcast for a little over half of that decade. And, we've seen a lot of Dodger games. We've talked about a lot of Dodger games, and we continue to do both of those here on Locked On Dodgers. And, if your first time listening or watching was last week, you probably didn't know who I was because I wasn't around last week. So thank you, Jeff, for holding it down. I feel refreshed and ready to go.
That's good. Yeah. And, for the most part, Dodgers did okay while you were gone. Some ups and downs, but ended on a high note as far as the series goes. Worst way to win a series is to win the first two and then lose on Sunday night right before we have to podcast. But I saw a note from our buddy Eric Steven. The Dodgers have 3 interleague series this year, and all 3 of them they've won by winning the first 2 games and then losing the series finale. Twins and Blue Jays, and now the Yankees, they now go into 2 more interleague series. And honestly, I'd take the same thing in the next 2, win the first 2, lose the last one. Obviously, I would love to have a sweep or 2 mixed in, sweep the Rangers, sweep the Royals, and just run away with this thing. But you know what? Winning a series against the Yankees, it's hard to complain too much about that.
Yeah, there's a lot to like that came from this Yankees series. Let's start off with the biggest one, probably Teoscar Hernandez, who had himself a weekend in New York. Was the reason the Dodgers won. A big reason the Dodgers scored runs and won on Friday was a big reason the Dodgers put up runs on Saturday and had put the Dodgers ahead on Sunday. Unfortunately, the Dodgers pitching couldn't hold it down, but yeah, it was fun to watch the Teoscar show this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And if you haven't been catching the Locked On Dodgers postcast the last few days, I've been guest hosting over there. So I've talked a lot about Teoscar in the last few days. Yeah, you know what? He's streaky and he can look terrible and awesome in the same at bat. But lately we've been getting mostly the awesome. And yeah, I saw another note. I think this one was also from Eric Steven. Eric has a really strange mind and thinks I should look up this weird stat. Teoscar Hernandez now holds the Dodgers record for most RBIs at Yankee Stadium ever. Even though with all of the World Series the Dodgers have played against the Yankees and any version of Yankee Stadium, Teoscar, this home run was his 9th RBI in these 3 games. He's only played the 3 games, and I think the previous record was 7 by maybe Reggie Smith, maybe.
So it was a big series for him, and lend itself to what else was really positive this weekend, which was the pitching. Yoshinobu Yamamoto goes 7 shutout innings on Friday. You had Gavin Stone nearly going 6 innings on Saturday, and then Glasnow was rolling up until he grooved one a little bit to Trent Grisham. But let's talk about Yamamoto first. He 7 shutout, racked up strikeouts, had thrown, I think 15, 20 of his hardest pitches of the season were all on Friday night. So, good to see that he got a little amped up. I saw there was a slight change to his mechanics a little bit. And it was fun to watch to see him perform on that stage.
Yeah, that mechanical change suggests that maybe it wasn't just adrenaline. I read an analysis on social media about the tweaks that he made and how it could be just, he might just throw harder now. We'll have to see his next start when the adrenaline's a little bit different. I assume his next start will be the series finale against the Rangers on Thursday. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens there if that velocity spike remains. But yeah, he looked awesome. The most pitches he's thrown in this season, not his longest outing innings wise. He had an 8-inning performance. That one he only threw like 97 pitches. This one was 106, 107 pitches, 7 innings. Looked great. No runs allowed. Didn't get the win because the Dodgers didn't score till the 11th, but kept them in a game where the Yankees pitched really, really well too.
Yeah, bullpen came in, shut things down. Talk a little bit about them, but Gavin Stone on Saturday continues his string of pitching really well. Also went into the 100 pitches, couldn't quite get that final out in the 6th inning, but gave the Dodgers what they needed in terms of length and effectiveness in order to hold things down.
Yeah, and he also had a velocity bump that I didn't see any corresponding mechanical reason for it, and so we'll see about that. But yeah, he looked great. Not as good as Yamamoto, but yeah, almost getting through 6 innings, 2 runs allowed in a game where the Dodgers offense exploded. All you could really ask for there. And, in that environment that was the game that had the most Dodger fans at it. It was just loud and crazy. And for him to perform like that definitely makes you feel good as you think about October and worry about guys crumbling under pressure. This was about as pressure packed as you can get for a regular season game. And both Yamamoto and Stone just showed up for sure.
Yeah. And then, you have Glasnow on Sunday, like I said, looked great until he didn't. He had a lot of strikeouts, a lot of swing and miss. And then, got into a little bit of trouble, maybe ran a little bit out of gas. I was wondering, this was the first time he pitched on 4 days rest this season. He's usually pitched on 5 or more days rest. I wonder if that factored, not, to take away from him, but if that factored at all into the way it played out for him, just because of the fact that he did run out of gas a little bit there in that last inning and maybe did lose a little bit of fastball command. And, while Grisham is not a great hitter this year by any stretch, he can still hit a fastball down the middle, and that's exactly what he got against Glasnow.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been trying to figure out why all the jokes in the chat. Just realized I hadn't updated the graphic, so it still said that you were Clint. If you could see what I'm looking at, you'd understand why I missed it, because I have my camera right there, which is right where your name is, because I have your face right above my camera, so it can look like I'm looking at you. So I'm looking into the screen, so I couldn't see the name, but now I think I have it right. Are you yourself again now?
We're good.
Yeah, but yeah, there was, like you said, Trent Grisham can't hit, but he can still hit a mistake. And I referred to him on the postcast as Chris Taylor with power. And I imagine we are about as frustrated as Yankees fans would be if the Dodgers won the game because of a Chris Taylor 3-run homer. But in the end, yeah, it's frustrating to walk Grisham twice and give up a 3-run homer to him when he can't hit. But you know what? Major league hitters can hit fastballs right down the middle. And in the end, some people were saying that Roberts should have pulled Glasnow by then. For me, they should have just given him the don't throw the fastball down the middle sign.
Yeah. You watch these games pretty closely. I'm assuming more closely than normal because of the postcast. Anything else that stood out to you this weekend?
We do have a comment in here from, where is it? A little bit higher up. There it is. Ray Hendrickson asks, is there a reason why Andy Pye has slides and tags the base with his back foot? Yeah, the reason is because Andy Pye is bad at sliding. And if you want a longer discussion about that, you can check out tonight's postcast that I just recorded a little bit ago. We spent a little bit of time on Andy Pye's sliding because that was remarkably frustrating. And it's not the first time that he has hurt the Dodgers with his inability to slide. And I love Andy Pages, and he's done a lot of good things for the team. And I hope somebody is right now. I hope Dino Ebel spends the whole flight home showing him videos. Hey, here's how people who know how to slide. Let's work on that.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe it's a Cuban thing. Puig didn't know how to slide either, although Andy's a little bit better than Puig was. So.
And you know who else couldn't slide was Alex Guerrero. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a Cuban thing, but I do think some sort of, when you're that talented, like what we saw with Puig so often was he was too talented to be in the minor leagues. And so a lot of the things that you and I would have learned playing little league and then high school ball and then in the minor leagues. And, Puig learned in the big leagues, and Pages isn't quite the same phenom that Puig was. But he's also pretty young, like Puig was, roughly the same age that Puig was when he came up. And so, yeah, I think it's just when your talent goes faster than your ability to be coached on certain things, you end up with little things like that. Some of the fundamentals that take a little while to learn.
All right. Luis Robert's a name that came up over the past week, and we got a little bit more info over the weekend on what it could cost to get him. Should the Dodgers think about paying that price? We'll talk about it. Make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. Order supplies from the website that's made for skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. There's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, NBA finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Had you bet on the Dodgers on Sunday, you would not have got your $200 in bonus bets. But had you bet Aaron Judge to hit a home run, you would have got your $200 in bonus bets. There's different things to bet on. You could have bet on Teoscar all weekend and you would have had some winning bets. Dodgers are off on Monday, but there's a full slate of MLB games to look at if you want to start and place that $5 bet to get your $200 in bonus bets. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to be coming every day or by listening or watching every day. And if you're already on YouTube, remember you can go to Locked On Sports Today or Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. And you can also catch Jeff doing the postcast for this Rangers series after every game on Locked On Sports Los Angeles. And that'll also come up on our audio feed. So check that out if you want to hear Jeff a little bit more this week coming up. You can go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. Get text directly from us and, news, thoughts, things that happen, all that type of stuff. You can get it for us. I'll be at a couple Dodger games this week, so there might be some stuff there from Dodger Stadium. So make sure to go to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. All right, Jeff. So you talked about Luis Robert this last week, and now Bob Nightingale put out a report of what it could cost to get him, and it appears that the White Sox at the moment are looking for a package greater than what the Nationals got for Juan Soto in 2022. Is there any way that actually happens, and would it any way that comes from the Dodgers? Mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, there's no way that happens. I think it makes sense for the White Sox to start there. When you have a product like Luis Robert, who is going to be very highly prized on the trade market, yeah, start high. But the fact is, the Padres were the only team willing to give that for Juan Soto. Juan Soto in 2022 was a better player with a better track record and, more specifically, a better health track record than Luis Robert. and still only one team was willing to give up that much for him. The Padres won't be, AJ Preller won't be trading for Luis Robert this year, which means we're down to the 28 general managers who aren't insane. And I don't mean that as a knock on AJ Preller, just that he is more willing than anybody else in the world to just say, hey, you want all my prospects for that good player? And most general managers aren't that way. And so, no, they're not going to get anywhere close to what the Nationals got for Soto. I think that even if there was a team, I mean, the Soto trade is a good reason not to do it, because the Padres got a year and a half of Soto, and they don't have him anymore. And the Nationals have CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore, and they have Robert Hassel and James Wood, and the minors getting ready to come up. I mean, that trade has been great for the Nationals, as much as it sucked at the time to trade Juan Soto. And so you totally understand why the White Sox would ask for that, and you totally understand why no team is going to give them that.
Yeah, Juan Soto, by all means has been, at least at the plate, been called, somewhat of a generational talent. The numbers that he compares to are comparable to Hall of Famers so far through his career. Luis Robert is good, but not that good. Even when you add in the solid defense, like you mentioned, he's not always on the field to be able to provide you with that solid defense and good hitting. So, yeah, for the White Sox, obviously it makes sense. I think where it benefits the Dodgers is that the Dodgers and White Sox have matched up on trades before. They seem to, have. If I'm the White Sox, I think the White Sox are one of those that kind of take that. Well, if the Dodgers are developing these guys, even if it's not their top guys, it's still probably someone good enough for our organization, and maybe that's the case there. But yeah, obviously the White Sox are going to ask for the world because they don't have to trade him. But realistically, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be willing to do that, and especially with Juan Soto is going to be a free agent in the offseason. So if you're a team that's thinking about getting an outfielder, do you want to trade away 3 or 4 prospects for this season? Or do you want to say, hey, you know what, we're going to make a run at Soto in the offseason, and it's not going to cost us any prospects. It might cost us a draft pick if we go past a luxury tax, but it's not going to cost us anyone we already have in our system. So it's one of those where, yeah, it happens every year. Someone's going to ask for the moon, and then, Yu Darvish, remember the initial thoughts on Yu Darvish when the Dodgers traded for him was whoever was their top guys at the time, and it ended up being Willie Calhoun and a couple guys that didn't really ever become anything.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think talent-wise, I think Luis Robert, he's a very different player from Juan Soto, but when you throw in the much higher defensive value, I think talent-wise, Luis Robert is close to Juan Soto, but the difference is Soto has done it on the field more consistently. When the Nationals traded Juan Soto, he had a career OPS of 159, OPS plus. I mean, Luis Roberts' career OPS plus is 124. Very, very good. They're Hall of Famers, guys who got in the Hall of Fame for their offense with OPS pluses around 124. Luis Robert, very, very good, but not Juan Soto level. And then you throw in, he's played a full season one time. He's only played 100 games in a season one time in his career. Juan Soto, when he got traded, he had 3 full seasons. No, throw in 2020. Yeah, basically 4 full seasons. He had been healthy his entire career for the most part. And he's remained healthy until basically this weekend. He's been outstanding throughout his career. And so talent wise, yeah, you can bet on Luis Robert, but you're not going to trade the farm on a bet like that.
Yeah. So we shall see what happens. Obviously, it would be an upgrade for the Dodgers. There are other upgrades out there that are not as talented, but would cost a lot less. And we'll see. The National League was talked about a couple of times over the weekend as having only 4 teams over 500. So there's a lot of teams in that middling tier fighting for a playoff spot, thinking they still have a chance. I don't know if that all gets solved here in the next month and a half. But some of it will get solved. And, the White Sox are definitely already solved. Just a matter of who wants to trade for someone. That's where, it'll start to separate itself here in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that the Dodgers are the only team that potentially might be in on Luis Robert and potentially might be in on Juan Soto as a free agent next offseason. I think the teams with prospects and the teams with money are often not the same. And so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think that I think the Dodgers have as good a chance as anybody at getting Luis Robert once the White Sox realize that their initial asking price isn't going to be met.
Yeah. All right, there could be some arms coming back to the Dodgers relatively soon, which means some decisions will have to be made. And, a couple weeks ago, the decisions would have been easy. And now we sit here now and, it might be a little bit tougher to make those decisions when it comes to bullpen and pitching staff construction. So we'll get into that. Make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you're struggling to close deals because B2B selling is tougher than ever, then we want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. It helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That's linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, that's just someone that listens or watches every day. We're here for you on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. You can subscribe, make it easier, get notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live. Remember, you can also get notified a lot about other things. If you go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and become a Locked On Dodgers insider, you get text updates, breakdowns, news, thoughts, rumors, all that type of stuff. And, any other musings or things we have going on in our minds. Or if you want to text us and ask us anything on your mind, you can also do that. So make sure to do that. And let's talk about the pitching. Dave Roberts gave an update on Bobby Miller. He threw a rehab assignment in OKC and went almost 5 innings. And then Dave Roberts kind of said that he might be back this week for the Dodgers, especially going into a stretch where they don't have a day off for a little while. 6-man rotation wasn't shut down this time as an idea. And, with Bobby Miller coming back, we got a couple updates on some other guys, not as close to coming back. We finally got a positive update on Brusdar Graterol. He's going to throw off a mound. We'll see where that goes. Clayton Kershaw is close to starting a rehab assignment. But, with all that being said, if they do go to a 6-man rotation, that means someone in this bullpen right now is going to get knocked down. And in that case, it's a little bit tougher because there aren't too many guys with options that can just be sent down.
Yeah, right now, the only Dodgers relievers who have any minor league options are Michael Grove and Alex Vesia. And it would be kind of funny if they stuck with both of those guys when they sucked earlier this year and then actually sent them down now when they're actually pitching really well. It's hard to see it happening. But, and I think when they pulled Anthony Bonda and Yohan Ramirez off the scrap heap, I think their mindset for both of them was, well, okay, they can fill a hole for a while and then we can always DFA them when we need to. But the problem is they've both been really good. Anthony Bonda hasn't allowed an earned run for the Dodgers yet. Yohan Ramirez was terrible at first and looked like he was going to be the easy odd man out. Even like it looked like it might be, okay, well, let's get JP Fireeisen back up here. And instead, Fireeisen is still back in the minors because Yohan Ramirez, despite giving up this home run to Aaron Judge tonight, he's been really, really good since the meltdown, since the Dave Roberts, the Yohan Whisperer incident. He's been outstanding, and his stuff is really, really good. And so, it seems like if the guy who makes most sense on the Dodgers pitching staff to lose his spot when Bobby Miller comes back is James Paxton, whether that's to injured list or what. But if the Dodgers are going to do a 6-man rotation, which you and I have both kind of advocated for at times, that means it's got to be a reliever who loses his spot. And I don't know if it's a phantom IL stint, if you're going 6-man rotation, maybe you don't need the long reliever as much. So they say, hey, Ryan Yarbrough, how about you take a 15-day break on the injured list? I think your knee hurts, or, I don't know. I don't even know who they would target for the injured list if they decide to go the injury route,
Yeah, my only thought is that Johan has been a guy who he threw a lot this week, and he had been warming up on Saturday, which would have been 4 games in 5 days. He did pitch Sunday 2 innings, which is 4 games in 6 days. So, maybe that was a inkling of what might be
He's probably
coming.
got some shoulder fatigue coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be an easy inkling of what, and they can continue to work with him on staying in the zone. He's been really good since Dave Roberts gave him the hug, but also it's a matter of you can see kind of easy how things can go back. I mean, he almost hit Anthony Volpe with the pitch. He was up a little bit more erratic on Sunday, which could be a case of just pitching a lot lately and not quite having it. And some days you just don't have it. But I do think him or Banda also makes sense in the sense of he's not one of the main guys. He's kind of someone that was brought in. Maybe they still have things they want to work with him on. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And again, it may even be that the Dodgers already have it in mind that it is going to be Johan Ramirez. And that's why they did work him so hard this weekend. There was a lot of talk on the postcast about why Johan Ramirez went 2 innings in a close game. And yeah, I mean, like you said, the Dodgers have a long stretch coming up after Monday's off day without off days. And it's a long season. And one of the big parts of being a manager is managing the workload of your bullpen. And so if you do know or think that Johan Ramirez is going to get 2 weeks off at least because of a shoulder fatigue or whatever, it makes sense to work him hard before then. Give him a chance, give him opportunities. That experience is going to be huge for him. And now, let him go rest and take a week off and then spend a week at Camelback, throwing bullpen sessions, working with the pitch, or even stay with the team, and work with the major league pitching staff, whatever it is. Yeah, he still makes the most sense, but it's kind of crazy how hard a decision he's made this, because you and I think if you had told us 2 weeks ago, it's going to be a hard decision for the Dodgers to make when we knew Johan Ramirez is still in the bullpen, we wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, and it was one of those where, I talked about how good his stuff looked and, a little bit of Yency Almonte vibes with the stuff, but couldn't quite locate it. And I thought, maybe if they do want to keep the arm around, that's where the IL stint would have came in and the Dodgers could work with him as somebody else got called up. Fire Eisen was with the team, I believe, this weekend. It was reported that he was, in the clubhouse, but never got activated. So, that might still be a move that can be made before Bobby Miller comes back. Like, maybe Fire Eisen comes back for a couple of days. Who knows? Whatever the deal is. But well, it'll all work itself out. And, yeah, I mean, all things considered, Aaron Judge is hitting home runs off everybody. Like, I don't know if it would have mattered if it was Johan Ramirez pitching that inning or somebody else pitching that inning. I mean, Gavin Stone had him 1-2 and still grooved him one for whatever. It's just a matter of Judge was on one this weekend, and I don't know if it would have mattered who was pitching at that time.
Yeah, and the what if game is the easiest game to play in baseball, but it's also the most annoying because we will never know what would have happened on the other hand. And like I pointed out on the postcast, Judge's home run was the 6th run. The Dodgers only scored 4 runs. Like, the loss happened because of Trent Grisham's 3-run homer, not because of Aaron Judge's solo homer. And we know what happened there. And we see this question from Eric Schultz: is Tyler Glasnow now the 3rd starter? Overall, no. I do think Yamamoto is making his case to be the ace. I think if the playoffs started today, Yamamoto might be your game 1 starter. But Glasnow is still, I mean, he leads the major leagues in strikeouts. His stuff was really good tonight. It was, and this was, and I know a lot of you were on the postcast, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it seems like the last few starts for Glasnow, a very high percentage of his very few bad pitches are ending up in the right field bleachers. And whether that's an issue with lefties or just that he's missing really badly. I mean, the pitch to Trent Grisham, it was a terrible pitch. Like, you cannot throw that pitch to any major league hitter and expect to get the ball back. And I don't know if that was just a bad pitch or if there's something about pitching to a lefty who's batting 083 that makes it hard for him. I don't know. But I'm hoping it's just bad luck on Glasnow's part, and maybe the pressure of not getting a ton of run support lately, where feeling like he has to be too fine or whatever. Hopefully, if the offense can go back to scoring 7 runs a game for him, he can go back to just being free and easy and not making those mistakes, or at least not giving up home runs on them.
Yeah, it's funny. People are like, oh man, we wasted the Glasnow start where he finally got some run support. The run support was only 3 runs at the time. So it wasn't like the Dodgers put up 5 or 6. It was 3 runs, which is, still not great, but better than obviously more than they had put up over the last month for him. So
yeah, for a Glasnow start and against Luis Gil, who hadn't allowed more than 1 run in those last 7 starts, it was good. And yeah, and the fact is he got a lead. He was pitching with a lead, but yeah, in a perfect world, hopefully he can. Maybe it's just the luck of lining up against worse pitchers, because his last 2 starts have come against Jerry Jones and Luis Gil. Like, it's hard to score runs against those guys. But I think the Dodgers, when they are clicking on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders, got to get my car metaphor right. They can score even off really good pitchers, and hopefully we can get back to that version of this Dodgers team.
Yeah. All in all, it was a good series win for the Dodgers. The Yankees, I'm sure some Yankee fans will mention the fact that they didn't have Juan Soto. That happens. Oh, well.
Some Dodger fans will too, because some Dodger fans are allergic to happiness.
Yeah, but either way, Dodgers won series, come back home, face the Rangers and the Royals, which will be too good. Rangers aren't playing great, but are still the reigning
Rangers
champs.
are a good team with a bad record. The Royals are a bad team with a good record.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. You got anything else to add, Jeff? I know you've been talking a lot of Dodgers this week.
I've been talking a lot of Dodgers. It's been fun. I'm enjoying the postcast. It's a different mindset, just strictly talking about what we just watched. And then this podcast is more of a big picture stuff. So,
yeah. All right. That's going to do it for today. No game on Monday. We'll probably take your questions. So if you're a Locked On Dodgers insider, you can send your questions and get that priority access. You can do that by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day, or maybe your last listen of the day if you're been joining us on these live shows.
Both.
Or both. However you want to do it. I'm definitely someone that might miss a couple things and want to listen back. Who knows? All right. So I remember you can go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers to go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider. You can go to Locked On Sports Today or Locked On Sports Los Angeles on YouTube and get those 24/7 streaming channels running, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. That's where you can find the Locked On Dodgers postcast on YouTube, hosted by Pete Fox normally, but by Jeff Snyder this week. And you can get that on your audio feed, on Locked On Dodgers audio feed. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, tell your smart device, play a podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.